Today's topic is setting as character. If you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips to help you turn your setting into another character in your story. What's the difference between the characters in your story and the setting? Okay, there are lots of differences. Right at the outset, you're saying, well, what a crazy question that is. It is a bit crazy, except that there is one important difference between your setting and your characters. Your characters are living, breathing beings that interact with one another. And oftentimes, the setting is just there. It's just some place where they do all their action. But it doesn't have to be that way. I want you to think about the books that you've read in the past. And have you ever read a book where you thought, wow, this place, I can feel this place? Well, if you've done that, if you can feel the place and you can see that place and you can taste that place and you can see how the characters interact with it and how it has an effect on the characters and their actions, then what you're reading is a book that has a setting that is actually a character in the book, without which the book would be nothing. And if you're thinking that this is a technique only for fiction writers, you're wrong. Think about true crime nonfiction, about memoir, about biography. These have settings that are very important to the story, and the techniques that we're going to talk about are the kinds of things that can be used in that kind of creative nonfiction as well as in fiction. About 2 years ago, my novel We Came From Away was published. It was set on the island of Newfoundland in the northeastern part of Canada. And to tell you the truth, that story would be nothing without its setting. I had readers tell me that they could feel it. They felt like they were there, like they could see it, they could smell the salt air. They really realized how that particular setting affected the characters, and in fact it affected the story. It affected how the story progressed. So that's a situation where the setting is a real character in a book. But there are lots of examples. You've probably read many of them. Here are some examples of books that the setting is a character. How about Wuthering Heights, Moby Dick, The Shining, my favorite book of all time, Rebecca, and Dune. These are just a few examples of books where the setting is an actual living, breathing character. So I guess the question is, how do you do it? Well, I have 5 tips, things that I found helpful when I was writing that book, and things that other writers have found helpful in writing their books with living, breathing settings. Tip number 1, give your setting a backstory. If your setting is going to be a character in your book, it needs to be fully formed and it needs to have a backstory, just like your characters do. You are going to have to do some research. You might have to create aspects of it, particularly if you're writing fantasy, for example. You're going to create a setting, but you're going to have to spend some time actually creating and writing that backstory. Give it a history, give it a current life. Make sure you know that setting inside out before you start writing. Give it a personality. When your setting has personality, it allows you to see how it interacts, how it affects the action, and how the action affects it. Think about personalities, personality characteristics of people, and try to figure out which of these best reflect the setting that you have. Sometimes if you use figures of speech like metaphors or similes, it becomes helpful for you to see the setting as a character. For example, neon signs flickered like tired eyelids trying to stay awake. You get the picture. You get the sense of that setting as a character. Here's another example. The old house exhaled dust and memories. Get a sense of a person. And how about the river whispered ancient secrets? Those are some figures of speech, metaphors and similes that allow you to see the personification of the setting. Tip number 3, make the setting influence the characters. In any kind of a story, the characters influence one another. Aspects of their lives influence each other and themselves. The setting should influence the characters. What is it about the setting that the characters have to respond to in order for the story to take place? Does the setting impede the characters, or does the setting help them to achieve their goals? Those are the two aspects that are fundamental to affecting characters. Tip number 4, use sensorial details when describing your setting. How does it look to the readers? What do they see? How does it feel to them? What feeling do they get? What can they smell? What can they hear? What can they touch? Anything? Is there anything tactile about it? All of these sensorial details will bring that setting to life. Tip number 5, show how setting influences and responds to the plot. So it's not just the characters that interact with the environment, but the plot itself. What effect does this particular setting have on the plot, on the story itself? If it's going to be another character in your book, then it has to affect the plot. But at the end of the book, just like many characters need to show that they have changed throughout the story, what changes about the setting as a result of the plot? That's an important aspect of keeping it alive as well. In the end, setting is what brings a story to life, and many first-time authors in particular, and second and third time sometimes, overlook setting. It's just there. They place their characters in a particular location, or even a town or a city or a country, without actually bringing that setting to life for the readers. But your story will be a lot deeper and a lot more interesting and compelling for your readers if the setting is more important to you. Happy writing. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat, and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills, 5 tips at a time.